Say you were a super intelligent alien race who had managed the intricacies of interstellar travel, but not of camouflage. And yet you really wanted to check out those weird humans on Earth. How would you manage that? Maybe you would disguise your spacecraft as something we would never think was an alien spacecraft. Like what, you ask? Maybe like a comet. Maybe exactly like 3I Atlas. Hi, everyone. Brief interruption here. We're going to have a quick addendum at the end of the episode today because some facts about when 3I Atlas would come back and be visible again that every single source I read and all the scientists were saying turns out to be a little off. So we'll just briefly, at the very end, we'll have a little addendum to briefly correct that.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Weird World Podcast. I'm Carrie.
Hi, I'm Dean.
Hi, Dean.
Hi.
So,
3I Atlas. Have you heard of it? That's our topic for today. Oh. It's all the rage, Carrie.
Never heard of it.
No.
It's like, so it's alien conspiracy?
Some think so. Some people have seen this strange interstellar object and said, it's not acting like we would expect it to. Maybe there's something intelligent that's directing it, that's behind it, that's making it do these things or have these characteristics that are unusual and unexpected.
Okay.
So, on July 1, 2025, astronomers at a NASA-funded survey telescope facility in Rio Hurtado, Chile, saw something odd in the very distant sky, distant as in 400 million miles away, not too far at the time from Jupiter. So the object was hurtling into our solar system at a speed measured in seconds, not per mile, but per second. That is 61 kilometers per second, or around something like 140,000 miles per hour. Very, very, very fast. So fast. Mm-hmm. It came from out of the Sagittarius constellation. So that area of space, that part of space, when we look into space and see that constellation, basically that's sort of like from kind of roughly the middle of our Milky Way galaxy, our spiraling Milky Way galaxy. It came kind of from the middle of that. We're of course on an outer arm of the Milky Way, as you know.
Sure.
As you learned from Monty Python, as I think everyone did. Initially, astronomers were not sure if it was an asteroid or a comet, something they weren't quite positive, or something else altogether, thought some astronomers and astrophysicist. The object was dubbed 3I Atlas. Sometimes it has a slash between the 3I and the Atlas, or a hyphen. I'm just going to call it Atlas.
Okay.
But officially it's 3I Atlas. The 3 and the I, by the way, they come from this being the third interstellar object seen in our solar system ever.
Oh.
Ever. And interstellar means sort of like not from our solar system. It's from outside. So it just basically means between stars, right? Interstellar, between stars. Right. So it's from a different star. We don't know exactly where. We know roughly the part of the galaxy that it came out of and those stars. So, but it came from somewhere out there and it's now passing through our solar system. I know, that's surprising. That has happened literally 3 times in human history.
Wow.
Obviously, who knows? It could have, I'm sure it's happened before, but our ability to detect things and to
correct
is infinitely better. Still, that's
not human history.
I mean, we had that ability. Telescopes. It's visible via a telescope, and we've been watching the skies for more over a century. And this is the third one.
Okay, in a century, not in
but
human
that's 3
history.
In 8 years, because the first one was December 2017.
Wow,
and that was and this is where we need Jack to be here. Jack can't be here tonight, but it's the Oumuamua. You remember that? That was you don't remember that? Because we did an episode on that.
Oh.
So great. I'm glad to hear that you don't remember that, Carrie. That's always good. Carrie doesn't always pay attention.
I don't have that much space in my brain. You know that.
Okay.
Things gotta go so other things can stay.
Should I be more worried about that than you seem to be, or no?
No.
Okay. I'm going to find it right now. Hold on. The Oumuamua episode was a weird bit way back in April of 2023. It was We're Big 53. Way back about 2.5 years ago. And Carrie does no recollection of it whatsoever. That was and that was it's going to sound, well, maybe it won't to you, Carrie, because it's a black hole in your memory, but it was for similar reasons, and similar people were saying this thing is just doing something weird. It's shaped weird. It seems to be accelerating weird. Maybe there's something there like it's a spacecraft. Turns out it was for sure a comet. It was just a very kind of elongated, strangely shaped comet, but a comet nonetheless. So back then in 2017, Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb thought that it could be Oumuamua. I'm going to mess it up. Thought that, it could be some kind of extraterrestrial craft because it was a bit weird. It was like I said, it was a kind of an elongated, weird shape. It had no coma or tail, which a comet would normally have, and it seemed to show some fluctuations in its acceleration. Ultimately, these proved explainable. The acceleration is caused by different types of outgassing, which comets do as they approach the sun. They outgas, and the coma, the lack of a coma, was due to it being just, I can't remember, but it turns out to be explainable. Again, I'm going to just say something general here. I'm not an astrophysicist, you may not realize.
Really?
I'm also not an astronomer. I'm trying to be as accurate as I possibly can. And did a lot of research, but I'm not going to know a lot of details. So please ask questions. I won't likely have an answer to them. And then the second one was seen in 2019, and it was called Two-Eye Borisov. The astronomers who spot an object, by the way, I guess get to name them. And Atlas was named after the station. The station was called Atlas in Chile that found it. And 3i just literally means third interstellar object. So we know that Atlas came from outside of our little chunk of space here in our solar system, and therefore is interstellar because it has this extremely hyperbolic path and was moving at very, very, very high speed. So what that means is that when an object gains, that's moving in the sky, an asteroid, a comet, whatever, it gains speed when it passes large bodies like big planets or sun or stars or nebulae and things like that. It gains speed. It's kind of a slingshot effect. It uses the gravitational force, and if it has enough to escape the gravitation, it actually gains speed as it slings around that body. So it was going so fast, we knew it had to be from outside. It couldn't have garnered that from just the bodies. When they first spotted it, it was near Jupiter. It could have passed Saturn, I guess, but otherwise just or Neptune or Uranus, but it just wasn't going fast enough to be, or it was going way too fast to be explained by gaining that speed from the bodies in our solar system.
Right.
It hadn't even got close to the sun yet.
Okay.
So that's why they know it came from outside of our solar system. And the hyperbolic path describes an object that is not following the kind of, sort of semicircular or elliptical kind of orbit that most bodies, like planets, all orbit around the sun. It's doing a very, very different path that way. So again, they knew it was this, it's going to basically pass through our solar system. We'll never see it again in all likelihood. Unlike comets, which are in our solar system. Like Halley's Comet, we see every 76 years. We know exactly where it goes. It stays in our solar system.
Right.
That's I said, three things. Comets otherwise are always from within our solar system.
So the other two, did they just pass through our solar system and they're not coming back?
They're not coming back.
Okay.
We will never see Oumuamua again or Borisov.
Right. Okay.
So Atlas is just making this kind of flyby, and we know from the trajectory and speed that what it is. And I will accept no further questions along that because I probably won't have the answer.
Well, I do have another question.
Yeah, okay. Maybe I...
Could something interstellar come and then orbit like Halley's Comet?
My guess is if it did, it would take millions of years, literally millions of years.
Why?
Because it's going at a very weird orbit. So it's an ellipse would be for it to go turn.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Monumental. I mean, go through a chunk of the universe before it can do a turn and come back around. I'm kind of guessing on that. But
okay.
I think that's probably true. Astrophysicists and astronomers in the audience, please educate us on that. But I don't think so. I think we're never going to see it again. This is a flyby. It soon became apparent that Atlas was exhibiting clear signs of being a comet. At least most astronomers thought so. Astronomers detected carbon dioxide. Not at first, but eventually they detected some water, and that the non-detection of water at first was one of the things that Avi Loeb thought was an abnormality or an anomaly. they detected carbon monoxide and carbonyl sulfide, whatever that is. And they also said it was kind of icy, which all these things, and it was exhibiting outgassing. All of these things are characteristic of a comet. The outgassing especially started when it got closer to the sun, right? So comets have sometimes been called dirty snowballs. You ever heard that phrase?
No.
That's kind of what they are. Because they're not like a single, just a big chunk object. They're usually lots of things like rocky and chunks of ice and things like that and tons of dust around it. And they're held together. And I guess I don't know exactly why they're held together as a single, an object that appears like it's a singular object, but they're really not. And they're just hurtling through space. This little ball of material, icy material, because they're out in the cold depths of space, are hurtling through space. In this case, through interstellar, they're going into different. I mean, they happen to be passing through our solar system. Their arc took them through our solar system just by coincidence. And so, when this material of a comet gets close to the sun, it sublimates. That's the process that heat causes rock to emit gas. It's sort of like a chunk of ice being heated, and that creates steam immediately without passing through the liquid water phase first.
Okay.
That's what happens to comets. And so that's what it's doing. It is having this outgassing, which is from the ice, and the dust being warmed by the sun and emitting this gas. Does it all work for you so far?
Sure.
If this gas is visible, it'll look like what's called the tail, or what by astrophysicists is called a coma, because they just have to call normal things a different name.
Sure.
That's how you do it. The tail typically, of course, point away from the sun, which is normal. And when first seen, Atlas did indeed do this, but more on that later, as you will see. The tail turned out to have kind of a reddish color at first, which indicated dust, which was just like Borisov, another interstellar object, was seen in 2019. It also looked a little fuzzy when you look at it through a telescope, more fuzzier than a star should. And this is because all that dust and gas that surrounds it, especially it's more of that is caused by the heat of our sun. That is what you'd expect from a comet, not an asteroid. So again, these are indications. Hey, it looks to us that Atlas is a comet. Mm-hmm. It's walking and talking and quacking like a comet. It's pretty faint, though. It's actually, which makes it kind of difficult to observe. And right now, by the way, it's invisible because it's gone behind the sun in relation to the Earth.
Okay.
So, and one last thing, it's really old. Some are between 3 to 11 billion years old.
How on earth do they know this?
I know. Another outfit estimated 7.6 to 14 billion years old, so it depends on who's doing the estimating. They do this by estimating the age of the stars from the portion of space they believe Atlas originated in. So is out of that Sagittarius area. We think we know that those stars are roughly those ages. We have ways of detecting through their light and things like that. We have ways of detecting, and again, I will brook no further questions on that, of the age of stars. So it's like, they came out of the stars. Those stars are, 7, 8, 10 billion years old. So we think it's a very old object. You'll see in a minute. I'll get to it later. There's another reason to think it's old as well.
Okay.
And that's to say it's speed.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
My brain cannot fathom any of this.
Yes. But what is one of the lessons of when you're examining paranormal, supernatural, supposed activities? What's one of the things you should always keep foremost in mind? Just because you don't have an explanation. No, it's not that at all. Just because you don't have an explanation for it doesn't mean there isn't an actual explanation for it. That's incredibly critical.
That's the I'm dumb.
Many conspiracy theories are built on exactly like, wait a second, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And I'm a hotel manager in Switzerland, so I think it's ancient aliens.
Yes.
And that's the kind of
thing.
Well,
and that's kind of my point. I can't fathom how anybody could ever figure out how do we have this knowledge?
Science.
That's the thing. I can't fathom it.
You're not dumb. It's a specialty. It's a
I do trust that somebody knows what they're talking about.
And because they can explain how they know that, and through the processes that they do know that, and the way they measure that, and it's all very explicable.
I'm sure they
grounded.
Could explain it to me. I wouldn't understand their explanation.
And then I would probably barely understand it, and then immediately forget it.
Yeah.
The universe, just by the way, I'm sorry, let me restate that. Our solar system is about 4.6 billion years old. So there's very, very likely that Atlas is actually older than our solar system. Not all stars weren't all created at the same time. The Big Bang, but the stuff happened after that.
Sure.
So there were, however, just enough oddities around Atlas and its characteristics to suggest to some folks anyway, and one person in particular, who happens to have a very direct line to major parts of the media, that Atlas maybe was something different than a comet. And that Atlas maybe was not even organic or natural at all, that maybe it was, artificial. And you can imagine where that goes from there. So you might ask, okay, well, wait, can't we just send a ship to Atlas and find out? Go look up close to Atlas. Did you think that?
No.
A lot of people, some folks at first thought, okay, let's send a ship. They even kind of looked into it, or at least long enough to say, no. I mean, but it is an interesting idea. You can make contact. Maybe you can get a thumbs up from the pilot of the spacecraft and say, hey, we see you. Okay, I see you
some
too.
people are dumber than I am.
No. Aren't you surprised that Elon Musk has not already claimed that he can do it? And if the dumbasses in government would just give him the billions of dollars, he'd be up there in 3 days. I would have thought he had said that by now, but he hasn't, because even he knows it can't be done. The reason is going way, 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 way too fast.
Yeah, number one.
Well, otherwise, you could theoretically. I mean, Bruce Willis and company did intercept that asteroid a number of years ago and saved
Isn't
humanity.
it too far away still?
It won't be. It'll pass within about 1.4 astronomical units,
which
is the distance from an astronomical unit is the distance from the Earth to the Sun, or about 93 million miles. So what is that? About 130 million miles. That's not that far. We can do it. Take a while. If we went really super, 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 super fast, which we can't. So no, we can't do it.
Exactly.
I think it was the ESA, the European Space Agency, calculated it, or someone did, and said even by the time it was seen on July 1st, it was already too late. So, it's coming toward us, and it's
right.
And so the idea, and it still is, it hasn't reached its closest point to it. It will not do that until December 19th. But, so could you intercept it? Could you, go out in front of it and catch it? You know what I mean? As it comes towards you, can you go, and it's going to pass you and then go past you? Can you go past where you already are? But it was too late because of the speed to get there would be about 24 kilometers per second, which is about 54,000 miles per hour. Mm-hmm. We can't do that. We have nothing that can go anywhere near that.
Yeah. Other question. So It's coming toward us. Mm-hmm. And you said it's going to be at its closest point on December 19th?
Indeed.
And then it's going to turn and go away from us?
It's going to keep going. It's going to go right past us.
Oh, okay.
Again, it's just coming, think of it just as a flyby through our solar
system. And we know exactly, because it can only go in a straight line?
It's not going in a perfectly straight line, but we know you can track, from what it's done so far, you can track and extrapolate what it's going to do. Its arc or whatever they call it.
So it's not going to hit us.
It's not going to hit us. Come so that was initially, that was a concern. And right away, astronomers said, wait, hold on, let's do some quick calculations. It took them no time at all to say, no, it's not going to hit us. It's not even going to come that close to us. Okay. And, we always say in astronomical terms, it's coming pretty damn close to us. We can see it. That's pretty damn close.
Yeah.
And it is. But, is it a dangerous not coming? In that sense, it's coming nowhere near. So again, it won't be any closer than whatever that is, 130 million miles. That's pretty far.
Yeah.
In my mind.
Okay.
In space, that's like nothing.
Yeah.
It's a whisper. A whisper? I don't know. So it reached its closest point to the sun, also about 1.4 AUs, on October 30th, as we record this just a couple of days ago. And it did that as it was cruising through the Martian orbit, or sort of the near Mars. And then, as I mentioned, just after that, it disappeared behind the sun in relation to the Earth, which renders it invisible to Earth-bound telescopes. There are some space telescopes that might be able to see it. We'll talk about that in a minute. It did leave behind, though, some very provocative questions and just enough doubt for some people to be really interested to see what it does when it passes out from behind the sun in early December. And we can once again start to examine it sometime into, I think, I can't remember. I have it in my notes here later, but later in December, we'll be able to see it again with telescopes. And we're very interested to see what it happens around when it's closest to the sun. Unfortunately, we can't see it because of the sun.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that has made it weird or suspicious in the eyes of some folks. So let's do that now. Why do some people, it turns out very few, believe that Atlas is unusual and suggestive of something maybe not natural.
Okay.
So, like Oumuamua, it's Oumuamua, something like that.
Okay.
It's bad for me. I'm not good at Hawaiian at all. Atlas does have some anomalies that, at least initially, were kind of unexpected given our current understanding of interstellar objects, as well as comets and asteroids, things like that. Again, I can't stress that enough. Comets are basically from here in the solar system. They're not interstellar. I'm not going to lie. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I assumed they probably were interstellar.
Yeah,
and
me too.
Halley's Comet passes every 76 years. If you think about it, it does make sense that that's within the solar system. Our solar system is vast.
Yeah.
So it does make sense. But I would have, if you asked me, I would have said, well, aren't all comets interstellar? They're not at all. Again, this is the third ever to pass us. But there are these things that are weird about it. For one, it is really, really big. It's huge. For a comet, it's massive. It is about 1 million times larger than Oumuamua. I pronounce that differently every time. It's about 1,000 times larger than Borisov. We don't know completely how big it is. The estimates have varied. They've ranged from as little as like 440 meters, which is about 0.2 kilometers, to about 11.2 kilometers, which is about 7 miles in diameter.
Yeah.
And NASA's official estimate is it tops out at 5.6 kilometers, about 3.5 miles in diameter. So that is very large for a comet.
Okay.
They're usually much smaller than that. So that's unusual. People saw that and go, what's going on here? Comets aren't usually that big. Atlas also is moving faster than we would think, and faster than comets do. Indeed, quite a bit faster than those two previous interstellar objects, which, again, we were shown to be comets. It is, in fact, the fastest thing we have ever clocked cruising through our solar system in the history of science that can measure those things. So the fastest thing we've ever seen is Atlas. Also, so some people look at that and go, why would that be? Is that really a comet then? The composition of Atlas is also a little different than you might expect from a comet, and is a little different from the two past interstellar objects. I guess it has a lot more nickel and has a proportionally more nickel than iron than you would expect.
How do they know this?
Other comets. We've studied the composition of other comets.
No. How do they know the composition of
Oumuamua and Borisov? Because we studied those composition when those passed through as well.
Oh, so
through science.
No. Are you talking about
how do they know what what it's made of?
Are you talking about the current one?
Yes, I'm sorry, Atlas.
That's what I'm saying. Yes. How do they know the composition of Atlas?
We've measured it, and since we started detecting it, we're able to measure those things of Atlas. Again, I will brook no further questions. I don't know is what you're trying
they
to make me say.
They can measure
they
the
all the
nickel
time.
in.
I know. It's weird, huh? It's like from the outgassing.
Don't get it.
It's just certain sciencey things. I'm being kind of modest here. I could explain it to you, but we just don't have time. It's a time thing.
No, it's
not a knowledge thing, Carrie. It's a time thing. I know all the reasons for sure. I would love to. Off camera. When we're not recording, I'll explain it to you. Don't worry.
I guess if they say they know, I have to take them at their word.
Okay.
But it doesn't make sense to me that
this is going to break Carrie's brain, and she's going to be.
It is.
Conspiracy theorist.
It's not going to break my brain because once we're done, it'll be out of my brain. It won't matter anymore.
I guess. So anyway, it's different. It's got more nickel than iron than expect. It's got more nickel than cyanide. The ratio of that is high compared to comets. Yes, comets have cyanide.
That sounds like a good thing.
Why is it?
I don't know.
Are you going to eat it? I don't think so. Its tail is not nearly as watery. That's why they didn't get tail.
You mean it's coma?
It's coma. You're right. Yeah. My bad. It's coma. If you're going to name something that already has a name, at least give it a name that's not something else. A coma is when someone can't wake up, not the tail of a comet. Goddamn you, science.
Well, it's not a dog either. Why should a tail?
A tail is more descriptive of not just a dog, Carrie. A tail is descriptive. A coma is descriptive of something very not what they're describing. I'm angry. I deserve to be.
We could call it a train, like the train of a dress.
I'd be okay with that as well, but not a coma. Anyway, the tail.
We should call it like a sparkle skirt.
Okay. Is the rest of the show going to be workshopping names for comet tails?
Yes.
Okay. So it doesn't have as much water as you'd think. It's only about 4% is water, and usually it's about half of the tail of a comet. The coma of a comet is water, which is unusual.
Yeah.
It also scatters light in a way different from other past comets that we have studied. That is, it shows something they call extreme polarization, and comets rarely do that. They scatter light in a different way. Again, I can tell you the details of how that's true and explain the prism and the whole light, the spectrum, and all that.
Can I ask you a question?
Very easily, but I won't. Yeah.
Then maybe you can answer.
Maybe.
If it has all these differences.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm not done. There's more differences.
I'm sure there are. Mm-hmm. But if it has all these differences, then why are they positive they've categorized it correctly as a comet?
We'll talk about that.
Okay.
In some detail.
Okay.
So Atlas has also accelerated in a way that maybe to some folks doesn't seem to jibe with normal expected gravitational acceleration that's attributable to normal, again, when these comets pass large bodies, they have this gravitational and it alters their acceleration and their speed.
Right.
And some folks think they detected some weirdness in that, some fluctuations. That this is exactly, by the way, was one of the things that was seemingly strange to some people of Oumuamua.
When you say some folks, do you mean like?
I mean like two. Very, 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 very few astronomers are seeing these things. Mainly one person.
Okay.
We'll get to that again in depth here in a minute. So,
because I would think the number of people that have the technology to actually see this are few.
Well, these are public. The knowledge is dispensed publicly. So any astronomer or somebody who thinks they are can certainly, an amateur astronomer, for instance, can certainly assess the data and come to their own decisions. And that's effectively what's going on here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
One of those persons is TV physicist Michio Kaku. You would recognize him. He's been on a zillion shows. He's even been the host of some shows like on Discovery. Like, he's a very respected physicist. But he has, in recent years, he's become pretty much kind of a UFO enthusiast. And I know that pisses people off when I say that. I'm not saying that any UFO enthusiast who examines extraterrestrial phenomena is therefore suspect. I don't mean that at all. But it does indicate to some extent what your preconceived notions, by way of course, the argument is, well, astronomers do the same thing. They presume it's not. For the most part, no, they're following the science. They didn't declare it a comet until they had processed the data and then said, this looks very much like a comet, even though we have some things that are kind of unusual for a comet. Michio Kaku went on a show he went on a cable news station, Newsmax, which is a very, very highly conservative cable news station.
Yeah.
Michio Kaku went on Newsmax and said that Atlas seemed to show increased energy as it neared the sun, which he said could be interpreted as intelligence. He said that if Atlas shows increased energy as it flies by the sun, which is kind of in the process of doing now, he says, quote, that means there's extraterrestrial intelligence involved. We'll get to I'll take these things one at a time later.
Okay.
But your first, at least the look on your face, listeners, is not misdirected.
You know the look on our listeners' face.
The look on your face was, what the fuck? And that's a fair reaction. So Avi Loeb, as we mentioned earlier, he's a highly respected astronomer. He's affiliated with Harvard University. Again, in recent years, he's become a outspoken enthusiast for UFO phenomena. In fact, he has seen extraterrestrial impacts or indications where he's just been wrong. He's completely wrong about Oumuamua. He's completely wrong in 2014 about this. It was like the M1 asteroid or something like that. And he said, I've found evidence that it's like these are extraterrestrial minerals and metals and things like that on the seafloor. And other scientists said, you're just absolutely embarrassingly wrong. Okay. So he's become a little problematic in the sense of he's a really respected scientist at an incredibly, a flagship American university who is saying some things that just aren't supported. But he has been the main person who has been arguing that these anomalies indicate that Atlas may be something extraterrestrial. And it's kind of essentially a spaceship of some sort. And it belongs within the realm of UFO phenomena. Mm-hmm. He's making some of the same arguments about Atlas again as he did about Oumuamua. I see it spelled and I can try to pronounce it. Oumuamua in 2017. Though again, he thought that was the elongated shape of that comet was weird, but he also thought the acceleration was strange, that it was doing this. It sounds like, hey, it seems to be slowing and speeding in a way that I argue isn't entirely due to the gravitational forces at work on it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He made these claims about Atlas anomalies very soon after Atlas was first detected. And at one point, he said, fairly early on, I think still in July, he said that there was a 30 to 40% chance that Atlas was, quote, alien technology. 30 to 40% chance.
Is this Michi?
This is Avi Loeb.
This is Avi Loeb.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kaku has just cited the acceleration, and he's almost a little more forward-looking. He says, basically, if we see some weird stuff about when it passes around the sun, then, hey, that's going to be an indication it's extraterrestrial.
Did Abby acknowledge he was wrong about Oumuamua?
I doubt it. I don't know. I don't think he's ever really acknowledged he's wrong about anything.
Okay.
He also was an advisor to the AARO, the recent government organization that's examining things. And he was a very strong component that everything's an alien. He was I think he quoted about the Go Fast video, things like that. He's very. I mean, let's be honest. He's very credulous. It seems like the first thing he jumps on, anything that seems anomalous, he jumps on. It's a UFO. That's in space, or is in the sky. It seems to be his first answer. Now he says 30 to 40%, and that sounds like a massive probability. He describes that as it's a very small probability. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Abby, agree to disagree. 30 to 40, you're assigning, if you assigned 1 to 2%, you'd probably be going out on a limb. Assigning 30 to 40% likelihood, which, by the way, you clearly pulled this out of your ass, there's no way you can. I love that. And there's a lot of aspects of science where you are asked, that's a very popular thing right now, where assign probability, and it's almost always complete nonsense. It's almost always just your best guess. But if you say it like, well, there's a blah, blah, blah probability, it sounds like it has something behind it, and it doesn't always. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking just this kind of thing. I'm talking about in mainstream fields. It's a dumb trend. So he cites, again, the size of Atlas. He cites all that nickel and the ratio of nickel to iron. He also says something about it has this unexpected orbital plane around the sun. I read it. It's just sort of like I don't know why he thinks that's anomalous. It has this unusual orbit in relation to Earth. And to him, anyway, I could not find a reason why. Okay, why that's weird.
Right.
Tell me why that's weird. He's like, this is as a 0.202% likelihood by chance, and nowhere can I find why that's true. Admittedly, though, I didn't read his whole. He has a blog, I don't know, on Medium, and I didn't read the whole thing. I don't have access to it. I didn't, but he says that's the orbital plane of Atlas is odd and unusual and unexpected. He says also he finds suspicion that it passed through Venus, Mars, and Jupiter on its way to the sun, and eventually it'll pass not that close to Earth. And he says that can't be a coincidence, because remember, the planets orbit, they're in different places, they're not lined up.
Right.
So, but the fact that this thing passed fairly near 3 of our planets to Ivy Lobe is suspicious. Like, okay, it seems like that's planned or directed in some way. And he has a ton of these probabilistic calculations. There's a 0.3 to 0.5% chance of that make these things sound like it's just impossible when you kind of accumulate them. So Loeb sees that also this unusual acceleration of Atlas is evidence that, quote, might be the technological signature of an internal engine. So he sees these accelerations and decelerations as that's an engine,
right,
or braking and an engine. He also sees that how Atlas turned kind of a bluish. Remember, his first kind of red, it turned kind of bluish as it approached the sun, which is its perihelion, which is the point where an object gets closest to the sun.
Okay.
He sees that the bluish haze was odd, noting that comets would usually be more reddish due to how cold they are and how dusty they are. Again, we'll look at that claim in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this heat to him suggests an engine. So Atlas is an engined, powered alien spacecraft. You can't, I don't know that he ever says it that baldly, but it's clearly what he's implying and intends to imply.
Because he knows alien engines must be hot.
Yeah, you have to assume, yes. Loeb also finds suspicious that Atlas will not be observable from Earth when it passes behind the sun, because it's kind of a critical period for measuring these things, but it's not going to be observable by Earth-bound telescopes of the science. So it's like, he says, was this a mere coincidence or a result of orbital design and basic astronautics? ? End quote. So basically, it's going behind the sun and being invisible to Earth at this critical period.
To hide from us?
To hide and do some crazy shit, apparently, yes. He said that, quote, for a spacecraft, perihelion is the optimal time for either acceleration or deceleration by an impulse from an engine, thanks to the gravitational assist from the sun. This is also true of a mothership releasing mini probes that maneuver toward the planets. Unfortunately, we cannot observe 3I Atlas from Earth at this opportune time, which raises questions of whether its trajectory was fine-tuned by extraterrestrial intelligence. I know you're chomping at the bit. We will get to it. We will get to just how weird and anomalous these things really are in just a moment. He also worries about the dangers posed by Atlas. I mean, he really is kind of an alarmist. He's basically saying this thing is potentially dangerous to us here on Earth, to humankind. He says, well, because it could be a Trojan horse, Carrie. Have you not thought about that? Maybe you should have. Maybe you should be a little more worried about life on Earth, Carrie. He said that it may be a, quote, Trojan horse made by some alien enemy. I'm no longer, just Trojan horse was in quotes there, by the way. Mm-hmm. And we are completely unprepared for such an event. Quote, as far as I know, there are no protocols for responding to the discovery of functioning alien devices near Earth, end quote. Carrie, we're not ready for what they're bringing.
No, we're not. Because
as far as he knows.
Okay.
Here's the thing. Would he know about those protocols? He's never been in government, so he wouldn't know those things. But also, what would you do?
Yeah.
What would we do? Yeah, I don't know. But he is sounding the alarm that maybe we should think about this.
But
he
also,
did that on.
We're not prepared for shit going on next door. Or.
You're out of gas on things we're not prepared for. But
I'm just not going to get political. Okay. But, we can't take care of ourselves.
No, but we could have had some from decades ago, let's say, that here's the protocol. Here's what you do if an alien spaceship is on its way. We may have that. I wouldn't be surprised if we do.
I'm sure we've thought about it.
I hope so. But if not, we should.
I don't think we've gotten very far.
Okay. Now you're just guessing at what those protocols are and how detailed they are. We're both just guessing. But here's the thing. So is Avi Loeb. But he's gone on really quality science-based shows like, the Joe Rogan podcast, and he's talked about this. And what's happened is that what he's saying, again, he has really good access to a lot of media, a certain type of media, and this has cemented. So a lot of people, millions of Americans are like, oh my God, 3I Atlas is a spaceship. 3I Atlas must be a spaceship. We're all amateurs, especially in something that's very technical. It's breaking your brain.
Yeah.
Astrophysics breaks everybody's brain except Neil deGrasse Tyson and a few other people. It's very complicated. It's very mathematical. It's extremely complicated science. And so Avi Loeb can cite all these things and no one's going to sit there. Yes. It's not one of those things you can easily apply. Some of these things you can apply just sheer logic to with just the most recent things these anomalies I just said.
Yeah.
When you made that face, you can absolutely apply some logic to some of these things and say, that doesn't sound right to me, Abby. And we will do that in a minute. But he is kind of sounding the alarm on a recent episode of Mayim Bialik's podcast. Okay. Another quality show who I guess she gets a lot of credit for having I think she does have a degree in astrophysics or something like that. Caltech or something like that? No?
She has a PhD in like neuroscience or something like that. Okay. Yeah. I don't think
she's smart, so I'll go on her show.
She is smart.
Yeah.
But
no, but still, he's saying these things. It's fine if you want to be a popularizer of science.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's his goal. He told Mayim, if you want to take a vacation, take it before that date. And the date he was talking about was when it passes behind the sun, because who knows what will happen. That date was October 29th. We do know what would happen. Nothing happened, and no word yet on whether Mayim went on vacation or is still on vacation. But he is, so it gives you a sense of flavor of he's an alarmist, and he really does paint the worst possible picture.
I need clarification.
Yes,
if you want to go on vacation, because
he meant like you better do it now because some bad shit's going to happen.
Because the Earth is going to explode.
No, because the aliens are going to be here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
it doesn't make a ton of sense.
So why is the vacation the most important thing in somebody's life?
A better way to.
I thought it was, or is it like airplanes won't be able to fly?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Not a listener of that podcast though. Okay. So what should we non-astrophysicists make of all this? So let's take these supposed anomalies one at a time. And again, this is my doing research, looking at what Avi Loeb says and looking at what I'm not going to, pretty much every other astrophysicist and astronomers say, and just assessing the evidence in a calm, cool, rational, logical way. So let's talk about the size. So the size of it, Loeb estimated that Atlas had a diameter of 20 kilometers around, which is really, really big. And it is really, really big, but he was really, really wrong. It's nowhere near that size, as we know from just a few minutes ago. It's at most 11 kilometers in diameter, and that's the most extreme by far. Again, NASA puts it at no more than about 5.6 kilometers max, and as small as about a half a kilometer. That's about 440 meters in diameter. So we're really not sure just how big it is, but let's say it's something like 5.5. The maximum size, that's nowhere near 20. And a lot of what he said, it's still very big for a comet, but it's not, he does tend to do this kind of exaggeration. Avi Loeb does. And I'm not trying to attack Avi Loeb, and I'm certainly not trying to attack like being open-minded about extraterrestrials and things like that. I'm assessing how he is looking at the science and how is he expressing it, and how when he expresses it, he tends to go to extremes and he tends to ignore a lot of the rest of the science in order to say what clearly is an agenda for him. It's infantile to pretend that he doesn't have an agenda. He clearly does. The speed of Atlas. It's moving through our solar system at tremendous speed. That's absolutely true. But stop and think about it. Something has to be the fastest interstellar object. This is the third interstellar object. It's the fastest one yet. It's faster than comets. But who knows? Maybe the next interstellar object, the fourth ever, will be faster. But then again, even other astronomers simply say that Atlas's speed is probably just due to its age. In other words, it's more an indicator of its age than it is spacecraft. Moving through interstellar space for a very long time gives that object a ton of opportunities to pass by these large bodies and get faster and have that slingshot effect.
What about size? Does size affect?
I think it probably does. And it being bigger than the other two. I just from, basic physics that I also don't know much about. I think the size does have something to do with that. So they think it's just very, very, very old.
Well, I mean, isn't that the whole thing in a typical science experiment? You go onto the roof and you drop two objects and you think the bowling ball is going to fall faster than the golf ball, but they don't. They fall at the same speed.
Yeah, you're right.
Because of gravity.
But that's gravity. Yeah, that's not necessarily. I don't know the answer to that question in terms of the size of it. Yeah. But in terms of the age of it, or that's what most astrophysicists and astronomers think, that it's going so fast because it's really old.
Yeah. Okay.
And again, the portion of space it came out of is a very old part of the universe. So, and the slingshot effect, that explains that. I mean, we've known that forever. Yeah. That's been in every science fiction series eventually is going to talk about the slingshot effect in some way. So that's very explicable. Yeah. If anything, it's an indication that it's not artificial, because then you have to explain why it's going so incredibly fast for a, creature-powered spacecraft, which seems inexplicable, unless they're really good at speed.
So do they know how long it's been traveling?
They think as long as when it was formed. So again, it could be 5 billion, could be 7 billion, could be 11 billions of years old. Yeah, billions of years.
So fuel source I know
fuel source.
I know it's
the explosion that creates it.
No, I'm saying for the people who think it's an alien ship.
They would say it's not really 11 billion years old. It's disguised as a comet. That's the whole idea.
Or it's alien technology. They have an unending fuel source. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you don't have to say
that. If it's alien, if you think it's alien, you don't make anything.
I think if you're going to argue it's alien, you're going to argue it's not anywhere near. It's not that old at all. It's just disguised. Again, we think it's that old because it came out of space. I don't think we can't carbon date it. Yeah. So we don't. That's a tenuous guess from science. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And so what about all that nickel? That's another one that seems weird and anomalous in Atlas that Carrie's very concerned about.
I'm not concerned about it. I just don't know how they know that.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to say again, I will explain this later. Okay.
He won't.
I will. No, I will. Comets don't usually have that much of that heavy metal, so this might be unusual, but nickel is in comets. So it's got more nickel than a normal comet that we've seen in the past does. The ratio of nickel to iron was also part of the question in Atlas, but most astrophysicists just, again, say this is still possible.
Right.
It's within the composition of Atlas is in the realm of the possible. It's just unusual.
So the smarties aren't alarmed by it.
Smarties,
they're not saying, "Whoa,
not,
this is weird."
No, they're not.
Another question?
Yes.
How many comets have we seen?
Comets, there's tons of comets, but again, they're all from our solar system.
Yeah.
I don't know the number.
Okay. But it's a lot.
Plenty.
We've seen a lot of comets.
We've studied comets for a long time.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think it's like, I don't know. It's probably not a gigantic number.
Yeah.
But we've been studying comets for decades.
Mm-hmm.
And this is from what we know about comets, this is unusual. But again, this is the third interstellar object.
Right.
There's reason to think it would be different since it's interstellar.
Yeah.
So the heat, the blue color of Atlas and the extreme heat that's been suggested by Loeb and maybe Kaku, and I don't know. There's probably somebody else. I shouldn't say it's just those guys. There may be some other people, but it's clearly a very, very, very small minority of astrophysicists and astronomers saying this. But they say, okay, that extreme heat, that blue color, is that weird? Again, most physicists say that, it turns out that we expect objects to heat up when they approach the sun, and that can turn them bluish with the gas emission caused by that rising heat. So I was thinking that's why your face when they said, "Oh, that's weird. It shouldn't be." Turning that and heating up and turning blue. It's exactly what we expect, actually. That's a strange one for even Loeb in my mind. I can't see why he's citing that as an anomaly. It doesn't seem like it is an anomaly at all. Mm-hmm. So it's just expected. Is it hotter? Is it bluer? Maybe. But again, it's not absurd. And even Loeb, by the way, he admitted the color and the heat signatures of Atlas were entirely explicable. He sort of gave the rest of the astronomers that one. And he said, it doesn't have to be from a hot engine. It could be from the ionized carbon monoxide in comets. And this happens all the time in comets. So he kind of acknowledged, okay, yeah, I'll give you the blue and the heat. Atlas also there's another anomaly I didn't mention earlier, but I'll mention it now, is that as Atlas approached the sun, its tail, or as Carrie likes to call it, its coma, seemed to flip direction. So in other words, they normally face away from the sun because you expect that is sort of pushing those gases away from the comet. The force of the sun is in the heat of the sun.
Yeah.
It flipped and seemed to be pointing at the sun. It's like, oh, what's going on here? It turns out that's completely normal. It's so normal, it even has a name. It's called an anti-tail. It's been seen in comets for decades. Oh. They're effectively kind of an optical illusion. But Loeb cites this flipping the tail as a, quote, a braking thrust, unquote, by Atlas, the spacecraft. And that even though everyone else saw an entirely explainable and familiar phenomenon, Loeb said, quote, if the object is an alien spacecraft slowing down and the anti-tail is braking thrust, then this change from anti-tail to tail would be entirely expected near perihelion. So he's saying, hey, if yes, you say it's a comet that it flipped and went from a tail to an anti-tail, if it flips back again, it's going to be evidence that it's a spacecraft. Again, this is one of those things I'm not 100% sure, but of course that's exactly what you would expect. You would expect it to return to that. The only reason it has this temporary, they did explain it, and I again also could explain it here, but it was a very complicated optical illusion that's expected and has been seen many times. You would expect the anti-tail phenomenon to turn back into a tail and flip back to normal as it travels away from the sun. That would be completely explicable. But Avi Loeb, uses that as, this is something that indicates it's a spaceship.
Right.
Again, it's weird in my mind. Some of the things he cites, as we've gone through them one-on-one, some are explicable in that, but they also could be a comet, Avi. Some are like, you're just plain wrong, Abby. And this is one of those, and so is some of the other things. So some of the, again, well, I'm not going to say it. You can say something similar about the supposed acceleration anomalies. Those aren't, that it's gaining speed is when it's, nearing bodies of large bodies is completely normal. So it's weird that Loeb and Michio, what's his name again? Kaku? Michio Kaku or something like that. They've cited this as evidence of alien life. It's, again, most physicists say now the acceleration and the little, fluctuations in acceleration are completely explicable to them. It's sort of so the tail and the acceleration, it's a lot like these guys saying, hey, look, yes, they could be natural, but they could also be a spaceship doing those same things. So therefore, it must be a spaceship.
Yeah.
I mean, you're more, that's just, that literally is how they're saying it. 2 + 2 is 75.
Yeah.
It's a little shocking to me that they're making those kinds of claims. It's not, I mean, if I'm totally open to it. If you should know, I mean, if it was like breaking, starting, turning and things in a way that astrophysicists are saying, that doesn't make any sense, that they're denying the laws of physics.
Yeah.
I absolutely, okay, let's look into this. Let's send a spacecraft after, let's send Bruce Willis after it and take a look at this thing. But it's doing nothing of the sort here.
But also, say there is some sort of alien spacecraft that's kind of disguising itself as a comet. In my mind, it's going to behave like a comet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not going to do things
they wouldn't, if they were that smart.
that are going to cause us to easily detect that it's not what we think it is.
I do want to talk about that in just a minute, but that's a great point. But in terms of how it's portrayed in the media, there's a lot of kind of almost a little bit of both sidisms. Like, oh, they both do it. And in reality, one side is doing it 98% of the time, the other side is doing it 2% of the time. And there's kind of like that. It's almost like, well, Avi Loeb and some others say this. Some other physicists and astronomers you've never heard of say, no, that's all nonsense. And there's a little bit of, so the portrayal to a lot of people who are believing 3i Atlas is something anomalous, they're not getting an accurate portrayal from the media because the media is really terrible at doing that.
Yeah.
The media it handles science worse than maybe any other topic out there, next to maybe politics. Generally speaking, though, again, most astrophysicists say it's absolutely explicable. Jason Wright, he's a professor of astronomy and astrophysics at Penn State, and he said, while it has a few peculiarities, this isn't a big surprise. Nothing that's happened, nothing that Atlas has exhibited has been that shocking to anybody. And that some people are getting a little pissed off about it, and it detracts from the real science of looking at these comets, this kind of alarmism, this kind of UFO talk. So science has pushed back a little bit. They usually don't push back very hard, though. And again, even Loeb has admitted that, some things he says could be very natural. He's admitted even more generally. He says, quote, the most likely outcome will be that 3i Atlas is a completely natural interstellar object, probably a comet, unquote. Jesus, Avi.
Wow.
When I read that.
Yeah.
I mean, he said his UFO contention, though, is, quote, an interesting exercise in its own right and is fun to explore, irrespective of its likely validity. I would argue that's incredibly irresponsible. You're not acting like a scientist at all. You're acting like an advocate. And it's just dickish.
Yeah. Saying,
here's something crazy, because people are going to believe you. People are going to take you at heart. You didn't say that on most of these media things.
Yeah.
I want to preface this. I'm almost certainly full of shit. But let's talk about this as a UFO spacecraft. You haven't said
because
that.
It's fun.
It's fun.
I mean,
No, it's not. It makes us dumber.
No, I get that it's fun. It is fun. It is fun to speculate and kind of fantasize and the what if and.
Do you say 30 to 40% likelihood?
No,
You do not say that.
Yeah.
You say, I don't know. It's just, there's a couple of things that are weird. Let's look at that more. That's fine.
Yes.
But he's not doing that.
Yeah.
He's being, in my mind, it's not okay and it's not innocent. It fits a pattern of him. He is an alarmist. He is attention seeking. He has made these unsupported claims of extraterrestrial phenomena in the past. He's been proven wrong every single time.
I was going to ask you about that.
He's at Harvard. Everybody thinks he's a genius.
What I was going to say is maybe he's not satisfied with being an astronomer or whatever he is at Harvard.
I'm convinced.
And
he's selling books.
Yes,
he's going to make a lot of money on the lecture circuit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money to be made in UFOs.
Yes.
I think he exhibits a lot of dishonesty, and it's always in one direction, and it's in a direction you can make a lot of money from.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So, do we think he truly believes this? Or
I wasn't going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But since you brought it up,
okay.
I don't know if he truly believes in it. My suspicion, I have more and more as I've been studying this for most of my life, that I think I always have thought, there's a lot of honest people who are misguided, or maybe they're onto something. I more and more think it's always follow the money, especially these last 10 or 15 years. We can make a tremendous, especially the last 5 or 10 years, we can make a tremendous amount of money from this kind of thing. It's been going on actually probably 20 years, but really it gets worse and worse all the time. You can make a lot of money from bullshit. You can make a lot of money from lying in America these days and in the world these days. And I think God, 99 times out of 100 follow the money.
And even if you're not making a lot of money at it, it's attention and almost fame. Because look at the podcasts and the sources that he is going to.
Has Joe Rogan ever had a real astrophysicist on his show?
I mean, I don't know.
Saying now UFOs are bullshit.
But also, sure no. He's going on Joe Rogan and Mayim Bialik.
Yeah.
Is he going
and Newsmax?
Is he going on 60 Minutes, or is he going on?
I'm sure he would, and I'm sure I think more and more they will put him on the air too. Because standards are that's a whole different topic.
Yeah.
Journalistic standards are they're finding a new floor.
But he's not
year.
Right. He's not. I've never heard of this, and I've never heard of.
It's gotten a lot of coverage. It's out there. Trust me. It's a lot of us on YouTube, but it's out there.
Yeah.
You're living in a world where your source of news is the same source of news as most people who are younger than you. Is they are getting their source of news from TikTok and YouTube, and it's out there. One of the reasons I think this really kind of pissed me off when I found this out. He has blamed he's acting as if NASA is withholding information from the public and therefore it's a conspiracy, therefore they know more, therefore it's a spaceship. He says, quote, "The politics of the day should not sabotage science. They have the data. They should share it with scientists." He said on News Nation, which is a ultra right-wing news station, which has now completely become, they've found huge rating success in covering UFOs, credulously covering UFOs, and this is part of that. What I'm talking about was this spacecraft that's orbiting Mars is taking pictures all the time, right? Mm-hmm. And it took a picture of Atlas on October 2nd. And Loeb is saying, and then NASA, and weeks later, now he's saying NASA hasn't released that. They're refusing to release those pictures taken on October 2nd. Therefore, he's basically saying it's some kind of a conspiracy. They're hiding the truth from us. Aren't you? I'm angry about that. You should be too. Do you notice what's wrong with, and he's doing it on a station that's very anti-government, and very anti-science. Do you know what's wrong with that October 2nd picture that Mars orbiting facility took?
No.
Because October 1st was what? The government shutdown. NASA has been completely defunded and is doing virtually nothing. Like all part, the government is doing what? TSA and air traffic controllers. Yeah. NASA right now, I looked it up, is doing the life support systems for like the astronauts helping out with the ISS, the International the Space Station. Mm-hmm. It's completely shut down. They're not processing film and releasing film and having a press release. You shithead, Avi, and you know that. And he knew that when he said that. That makes me challenge his veracity, his honesty, and therefore I think his credibility. My philosophy has always been when someone lies to me, I'm going to stop believing anything they say ever, and everyone else should do that.
Yeah,
all the time. We would be so much smarter and so much better informed and so much less misinformed if we were to practice that. If you assess the source, Avi Loeb has made himself into a very uncredible source of truth.
Yeah.
So I am going to stop. That's his fault. That's on him. And so, and another thing we should always do when assessing conspiracy theories, like Atlas is a spaceship, is ask yourself: is logical? You did that a minute ago. When would a spaceship do? What would you say a minute ago? Would a spaceship do? Disguise itself poorly.
If it's trying to disguise itself, it's going to behave just like a comet.
Exactly. It's doing a very shitty job of disguise. Have the right amount of nickel, have the right amount of water, whatever. You don't do all these things that are seemingly anomalous of an actual comet if you're trying to disguise yourself as a comet. That's basically his contention. If that's true, these are the worst interstellar travelers since Plan 9 from Outer Space. One of the best movies ever made in the history of science fiction.
I mean, that's not 100%.
No.
Foolproof, because that's the whole
No, would it hide itself behind the sun for just a little while, but otherwise be visible for the rest of the time? It's in our solar system. Would it be visible at all? They'd have camouflage, wouldn't they? They'd have cloaking. They'd have a cloaking device for sure.
Maybe.
Come on. Really? They can do interstellar travel, but they can't do a cloaking device if they want to disguise themselves? A comet?
Yeah.
No, hide yourself completely, bro. So, there's just it's not acting like what Avi Loeb says it might be.
Yeah.
And besides, they have spies here on Earth already. They have other way. Honestly, is this the best way to gather information on Earth? What is the point? Is it an invading force? Is it an invasion force here to? That's how you're going to do it?
Yeah.
If you have the technology to come here, you have the technology to kick our ass without having to disguise most of your trip here. That's just it's dumb, and then be very, very bad at it.
Here's my assumption: any race of intelligent beings that have the capability to do that, I'm going to assume they're going to be good.
Oh, I like that even better. So maybe it's not something we should worry about. It's Avilab too. He says, "Oh, we really should be worried." You know, he's a because what gets more attention? Fear or hope?
I know
it's fear every time, and he knows that.
And I'm just basing that on that's an incredible amount of intelligence.
But apparently you haven't seen Starship Troopers.
And they would have to be so much more advanced than we are.
Yes.
So in my
hopeful
view, which I don't have a lot of hopeful views these days, is that they're beyond war and they're beyond conquering other and
well, you have
they don't need that, right?
Because as a science fiction fan, I know that's not true.
You're talking about science fiction, but I'm talking about science fact.
Oh, good one, Carrie. You know what? Touche, Carrie.
I just think highly,
I hope so.
They would be more evolved.
In which case, I'm rooting for them.
Yeah, me too.
Atlas, they can save our ass,
that's what I was going to say. Maybe they're coming to save us.
We heard about what's going on here. This is bullshit. We finally decided to come and help. That'd be phenomenal. So Atlas, remember, is the third interstellar object. As I kind of mentioned earlier, we would expect it to be different. We will learn from these. That's what a lot of astrophysicists are saying. Is saying, yeah, no, this is great. This gives us more knowledge about these things. It is different. We should expect it to be different.
And that was another question I had. Like, isn't there some variation in
there absolutely
comet
is.
Composition and
especially for a comet from far, far, far away. So very, very far away, which is extremely rare.
Yeah.
So I hate, I don't try to shit on everybody's viewpoint, and I would love for UFOs to be a real thing. I'm still open-minded about there being a real thing. I think there's a couple of interesting events in the past that are suggestive, but I don't like being lied to, and I don't want to believe so badly that I'm going to believe things that aren't true.
Right.
That's all. So when I assess 3i Atlas, I'm going to assess it with an open mind, and that open mind has followed the science to show that it's very, very much with virtual complete certainty, it is a comet.
Yeah.
It's an interstellar comet, and it should be interesting in its own right. Scientists always say that. Well, there's so much that's fascinating enough. Most people aren't fascinated by it. Astrophysics, astrophysicist. Let me just explain that to you. So, no, yes, scientists could do a way, way, way better job of popularizing science. People like Avilab hurt that because they popularize science through being very anti-scientific and unscientific. But we're not there in a place on our world where people are going to be more interested in this being a UFO than they are in this being a weird comet.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Well, another thing that's happening these days that I think is going to make it more difficult is if I saw amazing pictures or I'm not going to believe them.
Yeah.
That's AI. That's not real.
You're going to have that alien be on the White House steps saying hi to us in the language that we can understand. And even then I'm going to say, that's a pretty good suit. Pretty good.
Sure.
You look like a gray, but your eyes aren't quite big enough.
if it's not happening in front of me and I see it on a video or something, I'm not going to believe it.
And we should. And we should. We should be much, much more skeptical now than we have been. I think we're going the other way. So what's next for Atlas? It's currently behind the sun, as I mentioned. In early December, it'll start to move away from the sun. It still won't be completely visible, though, because it'll still be impacted by the sun's heat and the sun's just the visual, not be able to see it. I don't know what the word is for that. By December 19th, the Northern Hemisphere telescopes in the Northern Hemisphere will be able to see it very clearly at that point, and it's going to remain observable from Earth for a few months. As it speeds away, it'll gradually get fainter and fainter, but it'll be visible for months. So we'll be able to examine it for quite a bit longer.
Just like amateur astronomers with a telescope in their backyard?
You could see it. Before it went behind the sun, you could see it. Yeah. A really, really good telescope.
Like our friend who has one?
I wouldn't be surprised if he could see it he has a very good telescope. Maybe. I don't know how good you have to be. I don't think you have to have, I think you can barely see it with a really good amateur telescope. It's mostly being observed by either space telescopes or on Earth observatories.
Right. Okay.
So we will see then if Atlas does show some weird accelerations, like Kaku said, hey, look, as it passes the sun and gets away from the sun, let's see if it does some weird accelerations. If that happens, okay, eat my hat, Avi. You were right. If it invades us and they come down and they, talk to us and say nanu, I imagine, then that would be phenomenal. Again, hopefully you're right.
Yeah.
But there also something called JUICE, the Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer. AKA JUICE. I love that name. It's run by the ESA, the European Space Agency. It's going to try actually in November to take a look at Atlas. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, it takes so long to get that information back. It won't be until February we'll have observations. So, but again, we're going to be able to see it from Earth telescopes. So we'll be able to see something in the middle of December. We'll have to be a little patient, but we'll hopefully update you then. Of course, we won't really know until they blow up the White House. But these days, how would you even know then? AI. We're going to see that.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's too bad.
But also, so if he's saying U.S. government, NASA is hiding it, is it a conspiracy with every other country and every other government?
It would have to be. As usual, conspiracy theories fall apart based on the sheer girth.
We're not the only ones.
That's not the right word. The sheer weight of every time you have more and more people involved. Yeah, we take every astronomer. It's an observatory. Everybody would have to be lying. No, again, I don't know if he's saying that. But the fact that he went for that in a very dishonest and disingenuous way that he knew was not fair or true is why I was complaining about that. I don't know if he's relied on this being a conspiracy theory thing. Yeah. It's more of a, hey, I think this might be a UFO and we should be wary about it.
But why else would he bring up the fact that
it helps mad that audience? It plays with that
exactly
audience very well. So, absolutely. That's the government's covering it up.
Mm-hmm.
That, for sure. That's why. I'm sure of it. That's why, even though he knew for a fact he was being full of shit then when he said that. So that's our examination of the 3-eye Atlas phenomenon. If you really want to believe that's a spaceship, continue to believe that's a spaceship, you'll just be wrong. Until they blow up the White House and prove that they're invading Earth and then we're all slaves and then I was wrong and I will mea culpa. I'll apologize for being wrong.
Until they land.
Yes.
Or they sprinkle alien dust on us and fix all of our problems.
I love it.
And
that'd be great.
Yeah.
That would be great. They'll probably start with an ambassadorship or something like that.
My version is so much better.
Oh, it's much better. I like yours better than mine. But the actual version is that it'll zip right by. We'll prove that it was a comet, and we'll learn a little bit more about interstellar comets, which to astrophysicists is great. To the rest of us is, I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Well, thanks, Dean.
I suppose. You seem skeptical there, but okay, thank you.
No, it's very interesting.
It is. I think so. I think it is too. It's just is a real good little test case of, again, why you should believe only what's true. You should question sources, and you should be pissed off when people are bullshitting you.
Yeah.
That's the thing that always bothers me about really, really diehard conspiracy theory types people is that you should be annoyed.
Yeah.
Because those people are lying to you every single day on YouTube, et cetera, et cetera. And they're making money off of their lies to you that you are believing.
Yeah. I think the problem with that is a lot of people don't know. They don't know enough to know when they're being lied to.
And we have a good friend who believes in this kind of stuff, and we've talked about it more than one time. And it's sort of a thing where they can't all be lying all the time. They're saying these 20 things. Some of it has to be true. They can't be lying 20 out of 20 times. They absolutely can be, and they are.
Yeah.
They do nothing but lie.
Yeah.
That's how you cash in. So they can and they do.
Yeah.
And they will continue to do so until you stop believing it.
Yeah.
I'll get off my soapbox.
Okay.
No, I won't. Okay.
Well, anyhow.
All right. See ya.
Thanks for listening.
Hi, everyone. Again, here is a little correction to the discussion earlier about when 3i Atlas would be visible after it came out from behind the sun during its perihelion, where it came close to the sun. Everybody at the time, several days ago, was saying, oh, this will be sometime, November 9th or the middle of November or something like that, or even into early December on some of the sources. So it turns out they were way off.
It was December 19th.
No, December 19th is when it's going to be closest to Earth.
Oh,
and that's still
okay.
true. But being visible again after going behind the sun was like all kinds of different, they said sometime November or sometime, but it happened actually pretty quickly.
Okay.
By November 3rd, just a couple of days ago, 3 days ago, when we are posting this, this will be uploaded on November 6th, a observer, a person named Qichang Zhang, a postdoctoral fellow and who had access to the Lowell Observatory in Arizona, a very powerful telescope in Arizona, was actually able to get pictures of the 3i Atlas coming back barely on the other side of the sun.
Oh, okay.
And so it was a surprise and a shock to everyone. He was able to get it. And the telescope there apparently it's almost unique in that it can take pictures of the sky at a very, very low angle. And so most are a little bit of a higher angle. So, and the 3i Atlas is coming out from the sun at a low angle. It's going to gradually get higher and higher in the sky, and it'll be visible very soon to just about everybody. But if you have, even with a powerful telescope, because he tested it with his own really good telescope, a regular telescope, he was able to see it faintly. It's like a smudge, he said, but you can see it if you look in the right place and have the right conditions when it's very, very low to the horizon, I guess, something like that. So again, we're not astrophysicists. At least I'm not. Carrie might be.
A few credits shy.
Okay.
So
all right.
I can't really call myself that.
That's good. So anyway, that's just to correct that record. Another point, though, that has been coming up is that it continues, the 3i Atlas continues to be, kind of controversial. And let's be honest, and even astronomers acknowledge this, is that we're talking about 3i Atlas because some people are saying, like Avi Loeb, that, it's some kind of an alien craft or something like that. It's not of natural origin. Well, to that list of folks who believe that, you can add now a well-known scientist named Kim Kardashian. Have you heard of her? Astrophysicist Kim Kardashian?
Sure.
She has recently expressed an interest in 3i Atlas and wants to know what's going on with this whole 3i Atlas thing. This started when, apparently on the latest episode of I Didn't Even Know There Was a Kardashian Show, apparently there is. And Kim has been, I guess they're doing some Kardashian episodes and filming on the set, or they did it, I'm sure, of her television show that recently came out.
Also didn't know she had a television show.
Didn't know she had a television show. Didn't know she was trying to be an actor. Turns out she's not. She's horrific. It's getting some of the worst reviews in the history of TV. I honestly don't know what it's called. I read it. I don't remember.
This is part of the episode where we need Emma.
Yes. She would know all about this.
We needed Jack for the science stuff, and we need Emma for the Kardashians.
You're absolutely true about that. But so what she said was something like she went on, she says, the moon landing was a hoax. And she's telling her co-star, Sarah Paulson, from American Horror Show and other shows, who's a very good actor, this stuff. Apparently it's while they were filming this TV show, and it got its way into the Kardashian reality television show. And I think, to her credit, from what I read, Sarah Paulson's just going, and just sort of nodding like, okay, you're insane. But she's going off about how the moon landing was faked, and Buzz Aldrin had said so. And Buzz Aldrin even said, I guess it's all over the internet. You listeners, you may have heard of this, but there's supposedly a quote from Buzz Aldrin that the moon landing, quote, didn't happen. But it's from a 2015 interview that he gave, in which the interview was talking about this horrible, scary moment that on the first, because Buzz Aldrin, for those of you who don't know, was the second person on the moon. And Kim Kardashian, by the way, said something like, Buzz Aldrin said there was no moon landing, and that other guy being Neil Armstrong, just the first person who ever walked on the moon, an extraordinarily famous person, but he's the other guy because her knowledge of the moon landing comes from YouTube's conspiracy videos. And so Buzz Aldrin, it turns out, he said in that interview, it didn't happen. And now that's shown on YouTube and things like that. And TikTok, I imagine,
as
if Buzz Aldrin being asked about the moon landing, and he says it didn't happen. It's not saying that. It's like he's saying specifically this moment you said was so scary, that didn't happen because it wasn't very scary. Yeah. We were never scared. That's what he's saying. So it's just a childish, out of context quote. Yeah. There's also flat out AI things out there saying that Buzz Aldrin said that there was no moon landing.
I was going to say, we are going to probably be seeing more videos of Buzz Aldrin and other people saying
Buzz Aldrin literally punched a guy in the face who was a conspiracy theorist who kept on like hounding him physically, would follow him around saying, you're lying about the moon landing. It didn't happen. Buzz Aldrin actually punched the guy in the face. So Buzz Aldrin does indeed believe that the moon landing happened. The reason I'm saying this part is because she was corrected about the moon landing by none other than Sean Duffy. Sean Duffy is Secretary of Transportation. His experience with being a cabinet secretary was, of course, being on a reality show, because that's how Donald Trump picks cabinet members. And he is now the acting director of NASA. Sean Duffy, whose qualifications are being on a reality show, is the director of NASA. To Sean's credit, he said, no, Kim. He answered her on social media. No, Kim, we've been to the moon 6 times, which for a fact he looked up.
Yeah.
And, and so Kim just immediately pivots to, and I quote, so what's the T on 3i Atlas? Now, hold on for the rest of that quote. What's the T on, which means gossip, on 3i Atlas? Question mark, exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point, 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 question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, end quote.
That's how you do social media,
That's absolutely how you do social media, and none other than the brilliant scientist, astronomer, Kim Kardashian. To which, again, to Sean Duffy's credit, he said, no, 3i Atlas is a comet. And so good for, and I guess the implication, and we're safe.
Yeah.
The aliens aren't coming to kill us.
Yeah.
Which Avi Loeb is still trotting out. He recently, just like yesterday, said, oh, look at these pictures of 3i Atlas as it came back from outside of the sun, from behind the sun. Oh, look, I don't see a tail there. Oh no, he's still
he was right.
hammering away on this stuff. He knows we're going to see a tail in a day or two. As we're speaking, we'll have a quick update when we do, but there's no question, and he knows it. And his response to this, when people are saying, you need to stop saying this, why are you kind of implying that's an alien technology? Quote, the implication of alien technology would be huge, and therefore we must take this possibility seriously, end quote. Think about the quote unquote logic behind that. Avi, what if King Charles is a lizard alien? Or what if mole men from the Hollow Earth are about to they're planning an invasion of Earth? Would that be an important thing? Would an invasion of Hollow Earth mole men be important? It would. So therefore, by your logic, we have to take that
it seriously. You could insert any weird, bizarre theory.
Literally anything for that. So again, I'm not trying to beat on him, but he is someone who shouldn't be taken seriously.
You're not.
I've done a really good job doing that. I'm not being biased against him. When I knew his name from the past, and when he first started kind of reappeared into the public realm with the AARO and all that stuff, and he started, really, he's been everything's alien technology now for a few years, and it's embarrassing. It's clear what he was once a very well-respected astrophysicist and astronomer, and he's seen where you can get a lot of attention by saying certain things in our society, and he's gone that route, and it's kind of sad.
How old is he?
Oh, he's probably in his 60s. I don't know exactly.
Yeah, he's facing his mortality.
No, I don't think he is. I think he's the other way around. He's trying to. He's been, and again, you look at his past. He's been doing this for longer than people think he has, and it just hasn't hit. I think he's finally hit his stride of gaining a lot of attention by saying the kinds of things that get you a lot of attention, and he's kind of gone over to. I think the truth of it. Be damned. He's not really interested in that anymore. Yeah. Again, I'm not trying to judge him by what he's saying and the evidence-free things he says and the illogical, like I just said, the ridiculously illogical things he said, and again, what I talked about earlier in the show when he makes pointedly untrue comments like, "Oh, they're hiding these pictures that he knows are not being hidden. They're just because of the government shutdown that we aren't seeing them." When he says things like that he knows to be not true. He loses credibility and he shouldn't be believed anymore. That is just I'm assessing if you say things that aren't true repeatedly and that you know are not true repeatedly, you don't have any credibility, and we should stop believing anything you say, period, until we can prove it from better sources. That's Abbey Loeb.
Yep.
So that's the story. That turned into a brief. We have more news on how early visibility of the 3i Atlas into a diatribe about Abbey Loeb. I apologize for that.
And Kim Kardashian. Which she deserves. Actually, they both do. But I just, with a weird
what's
cameo.
What's the tea on 3i Atlas?
With a weird cameo by Sarah Paulson.
Yeah.
And Buzz Aldrin.
Okay. Well, that's the update. I mean, again, if something big happens, we'll give a brief sort of weird news update maybe on 3i Atlas. But until then, it's a comet. I wish it was a spacecraft.
We'll call it breaking news.
Breaking news. There we go.
I hate it. Every day I get breaking news notifications on my phone.
About 3i Atlas?
No, about stupid stuff.
Okay.
Okay, thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.